Plastics. Look, what I wanted to start with was to show you three things that I think share a commonality. So we have these things here. In here we have 17 more plastic bags. There are cleaners here, aren't there, I hope? Okay, then we have this turtle here, this loggerhead. Now this little guy came through our wildlife rescue service. He was found washed up in a beach in Howrah. He had floated all the way from somewhere a lot more tropical and found himself there because his belly was full of plastic. Okay, that poor little guy was so full he simply couldn't even swim down below the surface of the water and found himself all the way down in Howrah. So what does he have in common with these things here? Okay, this guy was lucky. He went to the Melbourne Aquarium. He was rehabbed and released back to the wild, okay, to go and eat more plastics and probably find himself in the same situation. Okay, the Rhodes whale, that had literally 6 metres squared, okay, of plastic in its belly at one time. Okay, the tarp represents it, but it's a lot more than what you can see there. He certainly wasn't so lucky. The pelican, that had 17 plastic bags in its belly at one stage, obviously wasn't lucky either. Okay, so what we're seeing straight away is what we see, I guess many of us, as a very minor issue is actually a very, very, very major one. My background has always been wildlife. I'm a self-confessed animal nerd, and I guess along the way, what I've come to learn, mainly through experience, is that there are so many things that we're doing as individuals in our everyday lives that are inadvertently affecting wildlife, but also the environment as well. Okay, and look, it's those things that I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to focus on a couple, but I also want you all to keep in mind that those things are the very tip of the iceberg. Okay, these are just two representative things of so many things that we need to assess in our everyday lives. The power of education is the other thing that I've come to learn. I come from a line of teachers, I guess, and as someone who wasn't particularly focused at school, I now realise how important that education is. I think at the end of the day, once people know something and experience it, they feel much more of an obligation to actually do something about it. When I'm feeling tired and feeling like I don't have enough steam to educate, it's this saying that springs to mind. In the end, we will only ever cherish what we love what we understand, and understand what we are taught. Okay, I think that is a really, really true statement and something that we need to keep in mind. But there's a number of different forms of education. We have education forced upon us sometimes. Okay, we have education that we stumble across inadvertently. Okay, and then the most important education is the education that we do ourselves. Okay, and that's what's lacking at the moment. People actually going out and saying, well, I don't know about the issue, so I'm going to go and learn about it. That's what we need more of at this stage. That's a juvenile albatross there. Never even got a chance to fledge. Have a look at the plastic in that belly. There is not one little drop of room there for food, and those are everyday items. You can see the plastic bottle caps, a balloon, some parts of kids' toys. Okay, that is a major, major issue right there, and it's one of so many seabirds that are affected by plastics. Okay, the mother and father of that bird would have seen those plastics floating around, thought it was food, and filled this poor little one up. Okay, but of course that's just the seabirds. Okay, then we have the marine mammals. Okay, that guy caught up in a plastic ring. Okay, this one who's found a large plastic sleeve of some description and obviously got very tangled in that and washed his way to shore. Okay, this turtle, okay, another great example. How long have we known that those six-pack holders there cause issues to wildlife? We've known about that for years, yet we're still producing them. You know, these days we also know that we can use recycled cardboards to carry our beers, or heaven forbid they could just sit in the box without anything around them at all. Wouldn't that be terrible? Okay, yet we're still seeing situations such as this. You know, so it's this sort of thing that we need to address. Okay, a much more barbaric case. No animal should have to go through that simply because of what we need. That animal's chance of survival obviously is absolutely minimal. How the organs would have had to form around that plastic there is, well, basically next to impossible. So what are the figures? It's estimated that over 100,000 marine mammals are killed by plastic debris every year, and over 1 million seabirds are killed by plastic debris. Now this is just marine life. Okay, we've had platypus come in wrapped up in hairbands. We've had many other animals that are caught in fishing lines or swallowed fish hooks, okay, not just marine animals. Now that's probably a very conservative estimate as well. Recent studies have shown that plastic bottle caps alone most likely kill 1 million seabirds, okay, before we add all the other things. Okay, so what can we do about it? Okay, again, we're focused on a couple of very specific things. It's not my job to sit here and teach you all to suck eggs. We all know what the answer is. Okay, we need to reduce our plastic usage. Okay, all this stuff now about biodegradable plastics that actually only break down into very small pieces. They never totally disintegrate, so don't be fooled by that. Okay, then the smaller fish and other animals eat them. Look, at the end of the day, we need to stop the use of plastics. Okay, that's what we need to do wherever we possibly can. So, look, when you're standing at the fridge about to buy a drink, okay, when you see the plastic bottle with the plastic bottle cap, say, okay, that's the drink you want. Why not go for one with a glass bottle and a metal lid that will sink to the bottom of the ocean and will eventually disintegrate? Okay, and even if it's not the drink you want, at least you're doing your part. But take it one step further. Why not be the person that calls the company that makes the plastic bottles and says, come on, what are you going to do about it? This is the issues. Okay, have a look at these pictures here. That's what you are causing. Okay, if one person does that, yeah, it doesn't make a big difference. You'll be ignored. Okay, if 1,000 people or 10,000 or 1,000,000 people do that and they realise they might lose a few dollars, suddenly we might see change. Okay, and that's what I encourage you all to do, is be that person. Last thing I want you to do on the plastics is when you get home, in the next couple of weeks, get yourself a piece of paper and have a look around the house. Okay, assess 10 to 20 things that you are buying regularly that are made of plastic, okay, that could easily be killing these animals, and make the decision right then and there to not purchase those things anymore. Okay, and try to call one of the companies and express your concerns. Okay, if even one of you does that today, then certainly it's been worthwhile me coming here. So you insert your list here. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what to do about it. Okay, you guys need to decide what to do about it. The cat issue is another one that desperately needs to be addressed as far as we're concerned. You know, when I'm sitting at home the other night and get 8 calls in a row for animals that have been attacked by people's pet cats, it's enough to start tearing your hair out. Okay, now I'm not a cat hater at all. I've had pet cats myself. Okay, I've taken in strays and looked after them as my own. However, I recognise the issues. Okay, so what I did was I built a cat enclosure so that the cat could go out and play whenever it pleased, could go back inside whenever it pleased, and that way we simply weren't affecting the environment. And look, I wanted to give you a couple of figures. Okay, number one is there are 23 million feral cats in Australia, it's estimated at this stage. Okay, 23 million. Yes, Australia's a vast place, but that's a lot of cats. It's estimated that they, on average, kill 2 natives each every single 24 hours. Okay, now that again is extremely conservative. When I'm sent about 2 weeks ago a photo from a vet in the north of Tasmania that showed an autopsy of a feral cat that had 27 native animals in its belly at one time. Okay, but let's just say 2 for the sake of the argument. 23 million killing 2 natives each every night, that's 56 million animals, okay, every 24 hours. That equates to 392 million animals every single week. Okay, and that equates to some 18,980,000,000 animals every single year. Okay, now that's in Australia, and that's feral cats, not domestic cats included. Okay, now this is an issue that is absolutely global. If there was anything in the world killing 18 billion animals in a country every single year, there would be a global uproar. Yet because we like cats and they're our pets, the issue simply isn't addressed. Okay, going out and trying to get rid of feral cats isn't the issue. Okay, it's getting to the root of the problem and making it law that we have cat enclosures, that cats are desexed and that cats are registered. Okay, it needs to be done now. And the last thing I'll mention with cats is toxoplasmosis. You know, in some studies, such as feral cats in Egypt, it was shown 97% of the cats in Egypt carried toxoplasmosis. Our native wildlife eats the grass that a cat goes to the toilet on, they're as good as dead. We've seen over 500 cases of that in the last 18 months at Bonorong. Animals that are literally blind, acting like they're drunk, hopping around in circles and dying of starvation. Not to mention the effects on people. Okay, it's estimated in some places 50 to 80% of people actually carry toxoplasmosis. Okay, that is associated with increased risk-taking, schizophrenia, OCD and higher motor vehicle incidents. Okay, all sorts of things. So the toxo issue is the silent killer at the moment. Okay, now these are just 2 things, 2 very minor things in a lot of people's minds. Okay, but as I said, they are the very tip of the iceberg. We need to get to a point where we're assessing what we do in our everyday life before we go and do something. Hey, could this impact an animal? Okay, those are the 2 most obvious ones. Okay, unnecessary barbed wire fencing is another great thing to mention. Okay, now this is a really minor issue. Animals getting caught in barbed wire is not going to cause any extinctions. Okay, I'm well and truly aware of that. The animals we've had in the last 18 months involving devils, quolls, birds of prey, lots of tawny frogmouths all caught in barbed wire. Okay, losing a few of them won't cause extinction. But losing a few from that, a few from vehicles, a few from plastics, a few from all the other things we're doing will cause extinction. Okay, we've got to stop this attitude of one doesn't matter. Okay, simple as that. Okay, this bracelet that I've got here, which was given to me by my partner, says something very simple. That is, saving one animal won't change the world, but it will change the world for that one animal. Okay, and I think that's a really magical thought that needs to be remembered. So have a look at people that have properties with barbed wire that simply don't need it. Okay, the house I bought was exactly the same, and tell them to remove it. Vehicles are an issue we obviously don't need to bring up in Tasmania. We're the roadkill capital of the world, with some 500,000 to 1 million animals killed on our roads every year. Okay, again, I'm not going to sit here and say to you, drive slower at night time. Okay, avoid areas where there are lots of animals after dark. Okay, you know what you need to do. We all know what we need to do when it comes to reducing our roadkill. Okay, a study showed that if we dropped our speed limits from 100 to 80 in all 100 zones in Tasmania from dusk to dawn, roadkill would instantly halve. Okay, that is some 500,000 animals that we'd be saving every year. So why do we have to wait for it to be law? Why can't we make the decision ourselves not to drive over 80 k's at night? Okay, we don't have to wait to be told. We're quite capable of making our own decisions. That was a barn owl. Okay, now that owl is representative of 6 that we've had come through in the last 12 months. There are under 1,100 of those left in Tasmania, or 1,100 pairs is the estimate, but it's more likely to be 1,100 in total. They are highly, highly endangered. 5 of those 6 that came through to us had eaten poison mice and rats, and basically not one of them could be saved. Okay, now I understand that people need to control rodents, and I understand the problems that they cause. However, not many people have actually bothered to research what baits they should be using in order to not affect our wildlife. Okay, there are 2 types. There's multiple dose poison and single dose poison. One is a death sentence. The other one, multiple dose poisons, they have to eat a number of poisoned animals for it to affect them, and it can be treated. Okay, it's really simple. We just choose the right one when we make the purchase. Okay, it's not a hard thing to do, but again, people simply aren't doing it. Okay, our obsessive need to eat animals and animal products is something that will have to be addressed at some stage. You know, don't get me wrong, I like a steak as much as anyone. However, after researching all the stuff that really is going on, I had to make some serious changes. And I hate vegetables, I can tell you that right now. Okay, if we take a look at the damage that's being done environmentally, and please do some research into this. Okay, for people to realise that it takes some 50,000 litres of water to produce 1 kilogram of beef. Yet we're being told to turn our taps off when we brush our teeth, for crying out loud. You know, at the end of the day, people don't want to know about this stuff because they don't want to have to change. They don't want their lifestyles to be affected. Okay, and I could not go past this without showing the pictures of what we're doing to animals along the way. I mean, here we are with sow stalls there on the right. Okay, these pigs live their entire lives in a cage like that. They can't even turn around or lie down properly simply because we got to eat, right? Couldn't go without our pork sandwich. You know, at the end of the day, this is an absolute crime against Mother Earth. Okay, having animals in this condition. If you think it doesn't happen in Tasmania, you're wrong. 9% of the pork produced in Tasmania is done in that way. Okay, so we don't have to be this cruel to basically survive. Community solutions to community problems. Look, one thing that I'm very tired of hearing when we bring up any of these issues, you know, is, oh, that's terrible. What are the government going to do about it? What have the government done about it in the past? Okay, for crying out loud, the government isn't doing the damage. We as the community are doing the damage. We need to stop looking at other people and telling them to find the solution and start doing it ourselves. Okay, it's a saying that I really try to look at any solution we need is how can we do it with the community first? Okay, our hard-earned dollars that go to taxes can then go to things a lot more worthwhile, such as addressing the cat issues or the plastic issues. Okay, these are global issues that we're talking about. They're not just Tasmanian, they're not just Australian. Okay, so they might be happening in a small scale in Tasmania, but when we blow it up to globally, it becomes a major problem. It's about personal responsibility. Okay, it's about us taking a good hard look at ourselves and saying, what can I do to change? Okay, instead of just passing the buck as we are at the moment. And it's about education. Okay, take the time to learn about these things. Okay, if you plan to read 100 pages of your book on one night, okay, maybe decide to read 90 and spend 10 minutes researching one of these products, one of these facts that we've discussed today. Okay, and more importantly, educate others. There is no point you educating yourself if you don't spread that along so it gets passed on from person to person to person. Okay, that's why I love doing talks like this. Okay, the opportunity to talk to people who I know are going to share this with others, okay, is what inspires me and keeps me going every single day. Okay, I think if we look at animal extinction, we look at when an animal gets down to 10,000 or 1,000 or 2 in number, there's panic stations. Yet here we are with one Earth that cannot breed and multiply, that is on the verge of extinction, yet we're doing absolutely nothing about it. Just to sum it up, a speech that we heard by a gentleman called Philip Wollen, it was very, very powerful, and to summarise a bit of what he said, I thought could be summarised quite nicely with these words. There are 3 types of people in this world: people who do not care, people who do care, and people that do care and are willing to change their lifestyles in order to see change. Okay, are you one of those people that really cares and sits on the couch and has a moan about it, but doesn't do anything about it? Okay, do you take the time to write a letter? Do you take the time to educate others? Have a really good look at yourself and say, which category do I fit into? And if it's not the latter, is it really acceptable? Thanks for your time.